Don't tell people what language you are learning. Esse é o vídeo de hoje. É o título, né? E viu dia, quanto tempo que eu não trazia aqui pro canal? E viu dia. Eu já te falei, ó. Don't tell people what language you're learning. Não fala para as pessoas que idioma que você está aprendendo. Vamos saber o porquê?
Grinders, welcome back to the channel. What's up, Grinders? Welcome back to the channel. And today we're finally going to check out this video. I actually saw this one pop out a while ago. Well, obviously about a month ago. I just never got around to watching it, but the title always intrigued me. Why I don't tell people what language I'm learning, and this comes from Days and Words. So let's begin.
Last year I had a very exciting trip booked, and it was booked to start on the 1st of April of all dates. I was going to Japan first. It was going to be my first time in Asia. I was meeting Matt versus Japan, so that was exciting. And even just for me, flying JAL, which is normally way out of my price range, that was even exciting. And all those things happened, and they were all good.
ただいまから非常用設備についてご案内いたします。
But something a little bit before that also happened, which was that I might have gotten a little bit too excited for my own good, and I used the opportunity of going to Japan to kind of like play an April Fool's joke basically on my audience and say that I was learning Japanese, which rightly or wrongly carries a certain thing in the language learning community.
Oh, it's so true. Like, every time I mention Japanese on this channel, editor, if you can find a way, make Japanese somehow in the title. The videos they pop off. They just pop off. Like, Japanese language learning community, they're just one. You mention Mandarin Chinese and language learning, people are like, bruh, why would you learn that language? It's the most useless language in the world. It's so random.
Feels very, you know what I'm talking about. Just to clarify, that is not to throw shade at any Japanese learners. It just feels sometimes from the outside as though it's quite an elitist and even toxic community. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that anyone learning Japanese is in a cult. Anyway, I must...
Então, os linguistas em japonês... Os linguistas não, os learners... Esqueci a palavra. Os aprendizes de japonês são chatos. É isso? São chatos? Chatos.
You know, you see there was a cut directly there. He goes, I'm not saying that anyone was in a cult then cut and then it moved forward. He said more. He said more, and in the edit he was like, yeah, no, I better cut that bit. Just let us know your true thoughts.
I forgot one of the golden rules of the internet, which is that almost all nuance is lost on the internet. And my prank, my April Fool's joke, where I said at the end that March had ended, meaning we were going into April, meaning it's April the 1st, I tried to use that video to also say something that I probably just should have said separately or not said at all, which was I was learning a different language, and it was a hard language. We're not talking like French or Swedish or Spanish. We're talking a language far removed from English. It wasn't completely inaccurate to say that I was learning a language a little bit like Japanese in terms of difficulty level.
So you're...
Okay, before I let him continue forward, he was speaking about, you know, the loss of nuance. I have seen this so much, like with my Dreaming Spanish series, okay?
Yeah.
Now, if you've been watching the whole series, you've been here from the start, you know what the objective of the series is, right? It's for me to test this language learning methodology, the ALG, or at least the DS implementation of ALG. Okay, and I've always said from the beginning, my goal here is not to debunk, not to prove, whether it works one way or another. Obviously it works, like people have done it before, but to give you guys a realistic insight into what you can expect if you were to follow this methodology as it is laid out. That's the whole point. Now, people lose nuance so often. Some people think I'm out here trying to debunk the methodology, even though I disagree with different aspects of it. And some people, I don't know, like probably way less, but they think, maybe I'm a secret ALG or something like that. But like, my purpose is simple. I've said this many times. I just want to give you guys a realistic insight and to understand myself what it's like to go through this process. Yet people think there's team sports happening here. Like you gotta pick a side. And it's so funny when you see the reacts to my videos where people will be like, oh, he's purposely misrepresenting ALG. No, I'm just doing what they're saying to do. Like, if you think I'm misrepresenting because you're not happy with the results, then that's the results,
Igual no vídeo de 1000 horas de input do Envio Dia. Mostrei meu próprio telefone. No vídeo de 1000 horas de input do Envio Dia. O tanto de gente falando que ele tava tirando com a cara do não sei o que não estudou nada, que o resultado dele é uma merda. Mano, tanto de gente xingando o cara, velho, à toa, à toa. Só porque você esperava um outro resultado, tá ligado? Porra, filho, tá doido. Ô, gente chata. Eu odeio gente chata, velho. Gente chata tem em tudo que é lugar, mas puta que pariu. Tem gente que é chata com as coisas que não. Pra quê?
You're learning. I haven't seen your video. You're learning a relatively minor language.
Yeah, minor and far removed from English.
So you're not learning Japanese.
My point being that I was actually
Ooh, let's all speculate down in the comments section. Okay, is it an Australian Aboriginal language? They're difficult. I've got books on them. They're very, very different to English, obviously. So maybe it's one of those, you know? Although it would kind of suck for the language community. Well, it would suck in one way because, like, you're not going to get any views for that. It'd be awesome because, like, there's not many people on YouTube who talk about languages who go learn those, like, minority super complex languages. But you're not going to get any views off of it, so that'd be a bad YouTuber choice.
trying to relay some information with regard to my own language learning. And that was important because the next week I had a video scheduled to upload while I was away in the UK, which was telling the story of what I believe is one of the more interesting experiences I've had while learning a language. And that is that while I was spending some time learning this much harder language, I didn't spend a long time on it. Maybe I was up to about 40 or 50 hours at that time. But then I was listening to some things in French and I was having a much, much easier time understanding those things, even though I hadn't touched French in about 4 or 5 years. And I was listening to these going, were they always this easy to understand? And
You know, there's an interesting thing is ALGers, like the automatic language growth users, they actually talk about this. They say you got to chew on a language and then let it digest. And sometimes they even recommend you just go leave it alone, you know, go do something else for a month or something, you come back and suddenly because you've digested it, you actually understand it better. So that sounds like a very ALG type of mindset. But is that true? Like, I don't think it's an ALG thing, but like that's where I've seen it spoken about. But I have seen this in other areas in life where sometimes, you know, you focus on something so hard, when you take a break, you go away, you let your brain process the important information and you come back and it does feel like it's a bit easier. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just that you're not under such levels of stress anymore that when you come back, it feels, oh, okay, well, it's not so difficult anymore, you know? Like, I am understanding more than I did before, when realistically, maybe you didn't. It was just the fact that you took the stress away.
I came to the conclusion that through studying this much more difficult language where my brain had to work a lot harder just to get a small amount of comprehension, language...
Mano, pra ser sincero, o sotaque desses dois malucos é porque eles são do mesmo país. Eu acho que até da mesma cidade, que é Sydney. Mas não lembro. Mas eu sei que o Envio Dia é de Sydney. Não sei o outro, que eu não lembro o nome. Mas enfim, o sotaque australiano é um sotaque muito difícil. Se você pegar em tese o inglês é foda. O inglês americano, o inglês britânico e o inglês australiano. Até o inglês indiano. O inglês indiano, ele fala do jeito que escreve. Então se escreve American... Não é assim não. Mas ele fala do jeito que a palavra está escrita. O inglês indiano. O americano é o mais tradicional que... Não tradicional de tradição, mas é o que a gente é implementado desde quando nós é pequeno. O inglês, aí os dois mais difíceis, pelo menos pra mim, tá? Lógico que eu vou falar de mim, porque eu sou uma pessoa. O inglês britânico, que eles falam assim, water, not hot, parece um japonês. E o australiano, que eles falam muito rápido. É igual espanhol. Quando você ouve espanhol da Argentina, você acha muito rápido. Mas quando você ouve o espanhol do México ou até da Espanha mesmo, você acha mais... Tá, dá pra entender mais coisa.
Languages like French, where I did have some grounding and obviously has a lot more similarity with English, just became basically easy. Now, obviously, I wouldn't find speaking French easy, but I found comprehending it easier than it had ever been, even when I was learning French. But for reasons that I'll share later in this video, I still didn't actually say in that video then what language it was that was in question. So I was kind of using Japanese as a placeholder because it served the same purpose for making my point about French, right? It was like, it's totally different to French and English. It's much harder than French for an English speaker, but somehow it helped improve my French. That was my point. And
Okay, I'm not going to respond to this point, but as he's been talking, I've been thinking. Because I always think about, you know, like, obviously the topic at hand, but also, you know, my thoughts related to it. I have a question for all of you guys down in the comment section. Because we've spoken about Japanese up until this point, and, you know, the strength of the Japanese language learning community and how sometimes it can be toxic. But I'm curious, is there any language, like, learning communities out there that are actually crazy strong, but are just not, like, the go-to ones? Like, for example, I'll give you all an example, okay? I've spoken about Arabic and Russian, like, a couple of times on this channel. And strangely, those videos got tons of subs. Okay, like, it's just like, suddenly the subs rolled in, and I'm like, okay, is there, like, actually a secret Arabic and Russian language learning community that's way stronger than I knew about, but because it has absolutely no drama, it's just like, they just hide there in the shadows type of thing as compared to the Japanese community, which is just surrounded by constant drama. So we're always hearing about, like, is there any community I don't know about? Let me know. This is your chance, guys. This is your chance of one of the underrepresented communities on this channel. Because if you've all been watching for a while now, I'm sure there's definitely your community that's sitting out there and you're like, come on, Evil Deer, I really want you to talk about my language for once. This is your chance. Let us know.
I was using Japanese as a placeholder, and I was wearing a Japanese refold shirt on the thumbnail, and everything made it look like Japanese. So here we are more than a year later, but recently I got a DM from quite a prominent member of the language learning community here on YouTube.
It wasn't me. No, legitimately it wasn't me, so sad.
Who said, "Oh, I see that you're learning Japanese now. Congratulations." And that's when I realized I should probably address this and clear it up. I'm sorry. I was never learning Japanese. That is absolutely the truth. You'll notice this video is not coming out on April 1st or anything like that. I have never learned any Japanese. And I'll tell you that when I was in Tokyo trying to take the train back to the airport, I was struggling. And I, at that point, wished I had learned at least some Japanese because I couldn't talk to anyone. I couldn't read anything. It was a little bit stressful, but I got to the airport in the end. Since we're here, I want to pass on the lessons that I've learned from this little experience to you. They're language learning related, or at least they can be applied to language learning. The first is, if you're at any point with any language, whether it be after 2 months or 2 years, and you're just feeling a bit meh about the whole thing, maybe just try learning a different language for a bit. A harder language would be really helpful. Now,
Yeah, I kind of did that. I got Spanish and Mandarin Chinese going at the same time. I actually got a question today. Someone's like, do you feel like that, like, it stresses your brain out? Like, obviously it's more time consuming because, like, you know, you spend more time per day on languages. But when I'm done with, let's say, my Spanish, and, like, my brain is cooked Spanish-wise, and then I swap over to Mandarin Chinese, it's like I've reset it. I don't know. Because obviously I've got a very limited number of Spanish neurons, you know, like 6 of them. They're all firing constantly as I'm practicing my Spanish, okay? And then I'll swap over to Mandarin Chinese, and those 6 neurons, I'll finally get a break, and they're like, oh, thank God. And suddenly I feel more refreshed. So it's like, I actually don't get tired jumping between languages. It's actually a way for me to just relax a little bit from one language when I jump to another one.
some people are going to throw their hands in the air and say, I'm learning Cantonese. There are no harder languages. Just learn a different language, right? But particularly if you're learning one of the ones that's closely related to English, just go and try learning a little bit of a harder language for a little while. Firstly, I do think it will be good for your language skills in general, your language aptitude, and that will make you better at all languages. But secondly, it just gives your brain a little bit of time to reset.
I actually agree with that statement there. And not from my own experience, I saw it with someone else. So he is an Esperanto speaker, but he only spoke Esperanto in English. And when he wrote Esperanto, his Esperanto was always kind of English-like in a way when I would read it, but like it was completely comprehensible. But then he went out and learned German, and he's been learning German for quite a long time. Then when he started sending messages to me in Esperanto, I noticed that the grammar had changed and it actually became more in line with Esperanto. And I think what happened is by learning German and just learning a different way of thinking, he was applying that thinking now along with, you know, obviously his English brain upon his Esperanto, and it was helping him to think in like just different structures. So it does help you in a lot of ways. Like you kind of get cross-pollination between languages even.
And just maybe like remember what it was that you loved about the language that you're studying now. For example, I often find that I don't much like living in Australia, but when I...
That's so true. The way he says that, like so many times, because I've been in Sydney now for so long. I'm so over this city, bro. I want to go like live somewhere else, but I can't. I've got all my properties here, my investments, got like everything set up. I got my cats here. Like, you know, I would go to China and I'd live there for like a year or so, but I can't. I got an old cat, and if I take him there, I can never bring him back due to, you know, freaking. Well, actually, you guys probably don't know. If you've got an animal in Australia and you want to go to China, you can take it there, but you can never bring it back because they've got certain diseases and stuff there that you can't bring it back.
Go away for a long time, even though I love the time that I spend in Europe.
He's learning Greenlandic. We've figured it out, guys. Here it is. This is the hint. Let's spread that rumor.
I come back to Australia, I do appreciate some of the little things about living here that I tend to forget when I live here.
Nossa,
that
mas é
could
muito
be you
bonito,
if
hein?
you're studying French, you take a little bit of time off to learn Finnish or something, and then you come back to French and think, yeah, this is nice. By the way, I know this is already really confusing with the whole using Japanese as a placeholder for this other language that I don't share on this channel and everything, but it's actually just recently gotten more confusing because I didn't get very far into that language before I had a big change in life circumstances that meant I didn't have time for languages, and then very recently I've had the opportunity and maybe the reason to learn an entirely different language again. So that language that I was not sharing with anyone, that's probably good that I didn't share it with anyone.
It was Japanese. It was so Japanese. Bro, you're dropping too many hints to say it was not Japanese. It's Japanese.
Because now we might be at a point where I'm now learning an entirely different language to that language. So I'll put a diagram.
So we've gone from language unknown X to language Z. Currently around 10 hours into language Z, but you spend 50 hours on language X, may continue to study long term. Maybe this is like you don't talk about on the channel because it's like once you commit as a YouTuber, bro, people remember. I still got people. Like I had this guy comment on my channel like 6 months ago, and he's an Esperanto speaker, and he goes, "Hey, Evil Deer, you crossed 10k subs." And I was like, "Bro, I know I crossed 10k subs. What do you want about?" And he's like, "Back in 2016 and this video here," and he linked to it, "you said that when you hit 10k subs, you dye your hair pink." And I was like, bro, I don't even have hair anymore. How can I do that?
I'm on screen. Now, the second thing that I've learned, at least for me, that I want to impart to you, requires that I tell you why I don't share everything about my language learning journey on this channel anymore. I used to do that, and then much too slowly, I learned the lesson that the more I talked about my Swedish, and I'm going to do this experiment in Swedish, and blah, 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 the less I really wanted to learn Swedish, and the more pressure I felt, and the more advice I got on things that I've already learned because they're really obvious to anyone learning Swedish. And there's just a lot of pressure. Isn't the only right word, that is the right word, but there are other factors that just kind of weigh you down when you are learning a language somewhat in the public eye.
Dá pra entender o que ele tá falando. É que, tipo assim, ele não quer compartilhar mais a jornada dele porque é muita pressão. No caso é o seguinte, ele posta lá que esse é o nível dele de irlandês. Aí vem um filho da puta lá no comentário e vem reclamar com ele que por causa das horas que ele estuda, ele tá no nível muito abaixo. Aí teria que estar num nível lá não sei aonde, papapá. E pelo visto, no japonês é muita gente que fica assim em cima.
obviously I've got my own thoughts on this. Now, I'm not disagreeing with him because obviously everyone's different in this regard. I'm just going to present my own thoughts, okay? Since I started publicly doing my Chinese and obviously the Spanish experiment, that has pushed me to dedicate more time and energy to these languages than I ever would have before. Because like I've been playing around with Chinese for years before I, came on YouTube and started doing language videos. Like it was always just something where I was like, got some free time, I'll do a little bit of Chinese. Otherwise, no, I'll just do some Netflix. You know what? But because I set myself public goals and hell, even got sponsorships involved.
Dos motivos de eu estar aqui no, acho que é 173 esse vídeo. É o dia 173 dos 365 dias que vai ter vídeo todos os dias. Dos motivos é isso. É porque eu sou uma pessoa que eu tenho que prometer algo. Se eu prometer algo, eu consigo cumprir. Eu sou direcionado em metas. Mas metas tipo assim, metas tangíveis, metas mais constantes. Eu sou um cara de longo prazo. No curto prazo é tranquilo, mas no longo prazo eu tô lá. Entendeu? E é isso. É por isso que eu tornei isso público. Por isso que eu posto o vídeo, porque se eu ficasse estudando, sem gravar, sem nada, esses 365 dias, eu poderia fazer? Poderia. Mas talvez eu não faria. Como eu posto, todo dia eu vejo a constância, eu vejo a quantidade de vídeos que tem lá e eu fico, pô, não vou falhar. É 365 dias. Ah, Mário, mas você vai continuar depois? O estudo, provavelmente. Os vídeos, não sei. Não sei, eu só pensei no 365 dias.
I gotta do it now. Like this, I've found that this has been the greatest thing for me because it keeps me personally in check. Because if I don't do those...
Já chegamos na metade, hein? 366. Não, ainda não tá na metade, não. Mas tá no mês 6. Por que não tá na metade, hein? Deixa eu fazer uma conta rápida aqui. Metade vai ser o dia 182,5. Daqui uma semana.
Videos, you guys come down in the comment section, you start asking me for updates and stuff. So I find the pressure from you guys, like this public pressure, to be like a benefit for me personally. Now, obviously, this is very dependent on the person. Some people, they don't like that. But like for me, I need that public, like those eyes upon me to make sure I actually do what I say I'm going to do. Which is why I'm very careful with the actual challenges, like actually like declaring the challenges before I do them. So like, for example, my Spanish experiment, I did 50 hours before I even decided to drop, obviously because like the first video was 50 hours, update. But like I did 50 hours because I wasn't sure if I was going to do this. Like I had to be sure. But once I dropped that video, as soon as I hit upload and people start watching, that's it. I got to do it. I have to do it now. It's why I have not made a fitness video, although I've spoken about it in comments and stuff and mentioned it inside videos. I have not officially started my fitness journey because once I do, I'm going to go hard and it's going to be all public and you guys are going to keep me in check. At the moment, I'm doing like what I did with my Spanish and my Chinese before. I'm doing enough, just to keep things moving. But like, it's not like a focus, but it will become one. Not too far in the future. But not yet. Not yet, because once that challenge starts, bro, it starts. It kind of reminds me of something my brother said once. Because like what was it? I think he quit smoking. He just randomly quit smoking after many, many years. And like everyone was asking him, how did he do it? And he goes, he walked up to the mirror one day, looked in the mirror, and he said the one thing he would never say to himself. He said, "You're a coward if you don't stop." And he stopped. Because to him, that was the thing. He cannot take people calling him a coward because he's an ex-soldier like me, okay? Historically, if someone called him a coward, that'd be a brawl. You'd get into a fight. But he called himself a coward if he didn't stop. So he had to. That was it. There was nothing he could do. That was his declaration. We all need to find that way of declaring that we're going to do something in order to do it. For me, it's the public challenges. For him, it was the personal challenge. And obviously, he's got his own thing.
Basically, I found that the more that I talked about any language I was learning, the less I actually wanted to learn it. And so that language that last year I was calling Japanese but was not actually Japanese, and I may have had to stop now because of things going on in my life
It's so confusing.
and because of this new language that makes a lot more sense for me to learn, etc., etc. That language I shared with an increasing number of people, like people I met, friends, and whatever. This new language is currently at 0 or 1, if you include me, okay? I am the only person who knows that I am learning this language, and I find it so much more motivating that way. Now, not everyone is going to be the same, okay?
Yeah, of course. Like, I guess try out the two different ways. Like, if you've never tried a public challenge, just be prepared. It's different.
Other people are going to want to have accountability. They're going to want to tell a friend that they're learning a language so that the friend keeps them up to date. Keep it together.
Accountability partner.
Keep it together, keep it together, keep it together. You may have been assuming that you're an accountability kind of person who needs people to come and say, how's your Romanian going? How's your Icelandic going? But you actually may find that you're not that kind of person. You may find that you're actually a more private kind of person.
Man, I'm the worst for this, okay? So, like, I become people's accountability partners when they don't even ask for it. I got a friend who, like, literally, I don't know, 10 years ago married a Polish chick, and he randomly, off the cuff, at a party one day, when he was there with his baby, said, you know, I should probably learn some Polish. And I'm like, you're going to learn Polish? And he's like, nah, I probably should learn some words, you know, for the in-laws, because they don't really speak too much English. And I was like, so you're learning Polish? And he's like, no, I'm just saying, like, I should learn something. I'm like, I'll keep you in check. Bro, every few months I send him a message and I go, how's the Polish going? How's the Polish going? And he's like, bro, I'm not going to learn Polish. I can't.
É tipo quando você tá aprendendo programação e você quer pular de linguagem para linguagem. Você tá fazendo Java, beleza, você viu algum negócio no PHP, você fala, pô, PHP deve ser legal, hein? Aí vai lá, PHP, aí você vai lá, Python deve ser legal, aí vai lá, Python. Aí Go deve ser legal, aí vai lá. Mano, você não para em nada. Eu sou uma pessoa dessa, tá? Por isso que eu peguei Java e continuei. Coloquei essa meta pra mim. Pelo menos criar 2 a 3 projetos em Java. E é isso. Criar um portfólio legal, um currículo legal. Porque se eu ficar pulando de galho em galho, eu sei que no futuro não vai adiantar nada. Vai ter o conhecimento geral ali, mas aprofundado em nada.
It's too hard, and I don't have the energy for it. He's like up to 4 kids now, okay? And I'm like, bro, you need to learn Polish. You can't, you promised. And he's like, I never promised.
Who likes to just do things because you like to do things and you just want to do stuff for yourself, and that's completely fine. If you're not sure yet, I would advise that maybe, especially if you're starting a new language, just keep it to yourself for a bit, right? You can always tell people later.
That's actually probably a good idea. Don't get all excited before you've actually delved into it for a bit and you're like, okay, let's do this.
But you can't untell people. Now, I know it seems like a cop-out for someone who literally makes videos about language learning to be like, by the way, I'm not going to...
Nah, it's not a cop-out at all. Everyone's got like a different way of operating. It's good to share different like thoughts and processes.
share which language I'm learning. But the thing is, I'm better at learning languages in that state when no one knows that I'm learning them. I'm a better language learner, so I can learn more about the process, and I will share what I've learned.
Bro, the real problem we've got on YouTube is people declaring that they're learning or they speak languages to a great level when they actually don't. So you're probably the first YouTuber to not declare the languages they're actually learning.
From that language. By the way, I have very recently finished an ebook called The Quick Guide to Slow Fluency, which is pretty much what it sounds like. It's only very short. You can read it in one.
The Quick Guide to Slow Fluency. O método rápido para fluência devagar. A realistic approach to learn one language properly. Uma abordagem realista para aprender uma língua apropriadamente.
One sitting. It's got like a program for achieving fluency in about 3 to 4 years so that it's realistic. Everyone...
Hey guys, did you see that? Did you see that? I was thinking maybe there we go. Have a look. Do you see the book? Do you see that? We've got a letter A Then we've got wen. Okay. I'm not sure if this is a Japanese symbol as well, but that means culture. He's learning Chinese.
For achieving fluency in about 3 to 4 years so that it's realistic. Everyone wants to know how to achieve fluency in 6 months. That's probably not going to happen unless you've got 12 hours a day. Not many people have that, so I didn't.
E tá tudo bem, velho. Tem gente que quer tudo pra ontem.
So that it's realistic. Everyone wants to know how to achieve fluency in 6 months. That's probably not going to happen unless you've got 12 hours a day.
Quero ver o que tá escrito.
Not many people have that, so I didn't write that ebook. I wrote a more realistic ebook that more accurately reflects the experience that I had in Swedish. That is available in the description. Now, for such a short ebook, its suggested price of $16 does seem very high. I'll completely admit that, but that was based on the fact that I think it could save quite a lot of people, around 160 hours, so that's like 10 cents an hour. But that's
Nossa, converteu uma bosta, velho. $50. Convertendo pro real, 250 dólares, R$250 é muita coisa. Num e-book.
only its suggested price. If you don't think it's worth that much,
Pra eles
you
que
can go
ganham
much
dólar,
lower. You
não.
can go as low as $3 and still get that ebook for yourself. The link for that is in the description. The lessons that you can
There'll be a link to his video in the description. You can go there and get the ebook if you want.
take from this video are at least those two things. If you're hitting a bit of a plateau in your language learning, or even if you're still making progress in it, but you're not really feeling it, you're not really into the language, maybe just try taking a bit of a break, or try doing something entirely different. Try learning the piano or something like that. And the second is to not assume that you're a person who benefits from accountability in your language learning, and not go out and tell everyone that you're learning this language because you'll assume that they'll.
Let me know down in the comment section, are you the type of person who needs an accountability partner or a public declaration in order to get something done, or to maybe not get something done, but to do it to your maximum potential? Or are you the type of person who likes to sit there in the shadows, just learning away?
Hold you accountable. They may, but you might not actually find energy out of that. You might find energy in keeping it to yourself and just learning this language for yourself for a little while. And then, if that's not working, then you can go out and find someone to be accountable to. But don't assume that.
Or you could find an accountability partner, and if you're unhappy with your progress in the language, you just kill the accountability partner and remove all evidence of their existence.
Because once you tell someone, then you can't untell them. And if you are
Technically, you can.
completely new here and you have no idea who I am, which honestly is probably most of you, I've recently completed a very long-term language learning project, which was to write, produce, and film a video for a song in Swedish. So the song took me to Sweden. I only just finished it, and it is easily the best work I've ever done.
And I guarantee you it's the worst performing video on his channel.
It is not even close. I do hope that it can inspire people to go out there and learn their language and actually do.
The reason I say that, okay, is because if you're a language channel and you actually speak in your language in a video, don't speak English, those videos always bomb. Like, every time I speak anything but English, it bombs.
Something with it. Not just learn a language so that you can say that you speak that language, but actually be able to have something to show for it. Now, I get that not everyone can write songs, or not everyone wants to film videos and that kind of thing, but everyone wants to do something, and it's really cool if you can do it in your target language. So I put it on this channel. We worked incredibly hard on it, which everyone always says, but it's like, yeah, okay, that's not a reason for you to watch it just because we worked hard on it. We worked hard on it, but it's good. That's the thing. It's a very good song.
Okay, I'm kind of curious now to go see, based on my assumption. Okay, so this is it right here. Okay, let's go open it up. So this video I'm watching has got 6K views. What's this one got? So this is his song, 1.7K. See, this is what I mean. As soon as you make anything that's in your target language on an English channel, people just don't watch it.
It's a very good video, and I'm going to put it right there for you guys to see, and I'll see you in a video soon. Bye.
Okay, so overall, that was a good video. It's an interesting perspective. Obviously, me and him are complete opposites when it comes to this aspect of it, but I respect him as a language learner. But yeah, here's the song. I want to listen to just like 5 seconds of it. Hopefully I don't get... Wait, I hate this. I hate dubbed. I hate how YouTube just auto-dubs shit.
Também odeio, porque tem hora que eu só vejo conteúdo original. Se é inglês, eu vejo inglês. Português, eu vejo português. Tem alguns canais que eu assisto em português, que é minha língua, meu idioma, né? Só que esse negócio de dublado me irrita, porque eu tô vendo um conteúdo em português, ele quer dublar. Eu não quero, eu já conheço a voz do cara. Igual se for dublar a voz do Evil Dia, fica robotizado. Então, pessoal, tá doido? Nossa, que voz boa.
I'll see you on the next video. If you're not there, I will find you and...
See you in the next video. Olha que cara de doido. Adiós.